Okay, one of the filter, it was kind of a little bit more specialized. I tried to create it. It's what I call TV shifter. It's take these distortions and apply it. The reason why I was saying I want to create a filter that may have this, like on a TV or some bad quality, so I can use it as a in specific project. But after I start working, I'm like, maybe somebody else will like to use these distortions, and you can see from preset. It's quite a bit flexible. Then I create this tool, this filter in a filter forge to do all these lines, scan lines, and other things. So let's go ahead and look how this filter works. And this one have it a little bit more than other ones. So you can see have it more done, but it's not that actually complex. And we'll look on this step by step, see how it's work. Most time these filters to creating, it's one of the more fun because you don't create realistic, you want to actually distort your image. So you look for the way how you can create all these different elements. So let's look right here what we have. We have our first image, and as the image come, I want to enable this shifting. So if you look, okay, let's go to right here. You can see how they're going shifting, and I notice some on TV you have it because you have RGB colors. They may be a little bit shifted by distortions or other things, and I want to create this shifting. So this area right here, this is what prefer for me, that shifting. We take red, green, and blue extractors. Okay, we can look on the components, and they're right here. So extract RGB, and when you select one, you have a choice what channel you want to extract. So, and I took an extract red. Of course, you can always inverse to the opposite of the red. And next we have it, of course, it's a green and blue. So we extract all those channels and we add them to offset. So the offset allowed me how much I want to move. But to randomize these movements, you can notice offset X, Y, all those images. I just created Perlin noise and a different size. For example, this Perlin noise rise 25. So I just modify slightly these variables. I created to add them to create these different patterns. And this is patterns. It's what in connection. So they apply to our offsets to create a little bit movements in the image. And you can see right here how they kind of offset and move them. This is what allowed me to create this kind of shifting, simulating this. Okay, so you can see right here, this is, okay, let me adjust them. We'll move this far away so we can see on connections. So you can see this one connect AB, AB. So they kind of connect between them, and same like random. This is one connect to first, second, third. So they all intermix with each other. You don't need to do necessarily this way. You can have it all different way randomization. I just had fun to do this, but you can randomize in a way so they all kind of shifting from the original location. Notice right here, so I'm shifting right there, repeating. So be sure when you have it offset, you want set by default size. You can also max size on bound. You can set all as different, but again, I set as default size. And also one thing, what you notice, I control it is percentage. So percentage, it will apply to this shift. Notice again, this is value from 1 to 100. However, I don't want to apply 100% shift. I want just gently and nice shift it. And this has helped me with a mapping. So what you do inside, if it says a use remap, it's mean take these values and currently from 0 to 100 and map them from 0 to 10. So I want to apply only 10%. I don't want to create very crazy big adjustments. So in this remapping, it's what helped me. Next, after this, we take all this value that we just readjust separately and put in assembly RGB. So this is what help us create some of those offset in the colors. Again, you can take this area and create your own shift. You can just shift by numbers or how you like it. This is up to your creativity, but again, this is how I'm done in this area. So right here, this is creating for us shifting. From this point, you can see I'm going like in 5 different areas to apply additional effects to this. So let's look, before we continue, let's look on this line. You notice it's creating sometimes lines going kind of like these are noise lines applied. So to create noise lines, we'll just go line shifter, which is connecting to the scale. And the scale, it's a Perlin noise with a stretch to 100. So if we go back right there, you can see that right there, it's our normal Perlin noise with a small contrast in size. So if we take stretch to 100, it's create those lines that I want to use it. Scale, it's allowed me to create a bigger lines. You can see how they're increasing, or go down to smaller lines. Okay, so let's go set as 30 by default. Okay, next, what we're going from this noise, I don't necessarily want this gray. By using threshold, I can set just black and white lines. So I remove some gray and create only black and whites. This is what allowed me to add these lines. And again, look on this right here, we have a blend mode. Okay, we have it from our RGB, we're going to our additional offset. And this is offset. You can see I have set a little bit more on the side, just little bit. And there's a shifter. And by the blending and using opacity on our threshold, we said shift those elements with white from this source and another used from this source. So they're blending together. But this is what creating this kind of, you can see this rough offset almost. So let me show you example. So we're going to lock preview on this. Okay, and we'll go to size. Let's increase example. And you can see how those lines right here, they're increasing in size because this is blending mode. Also, if we're going to the shift, and we can shift more, and you can see how they start adjusting them to shifting about. So let's go back. We'll put it 2 here by default, and let's put it 30 as what before as default value. How say, I like to keep it some of this value, so when you start working, you have it. You can look on this and start with something close enough. So right here we have it our blend. Let's remove the lock. So far what we have it our shifter, which is using blend mode. Okay, we're creating our shift on the colors, shift on the lines. So this way we kind of create it. So next, let's go look. What do we have right here? We have our desaturation, and this is going straight out of the image, original image. We're going just to take luminosity, desaturation, and apply to our image. This does only to control saturation over all our image. And because it's using black overlay mode, it will add little bit over as position of original image. So our lighting will kind of will shift it anyway away. So I'll add this desaturation just in those places where they intersect. So again, this is just a simple black depth. It's, you can notice right here. Okay, let's go lock this preview. Because we're using overlay mode, you can see how it's kind of almost increased contrast. In some cases, this is work very well for the old TV when its fluorescence start worn out, so you have it less details. Or maybe your signal get lost. So this is what applied to this. Okay, and next we notice from RGB we're going to our blur. A blur, again, you just create an image and blur around. This is using a simple 4 radius. We don't need too high, but it is because in the blend we're using overlay another mode, it will create this kind of bloom effect. So if you notice in this case, we're going to intensity of the blending, you can see how it's add this blooming effect. So it's not just a contrast, it's a little bit this blending fuzziness almost like around the edges. So it's add this very nice lights, highlights, and dark blooming effect around. Okay, so right here, I say this is fun part. You just come and you create all these distortions, different type. So the next, I also want to add just a noise on the lines. And to do with this noise, we'll just take assemble from our where we assemble RGB, another one. We're going inside the Perlin noise. And notice right here, I'm using as a background for this So if you look on an image, it just simply has white lines because we set as a noise as a white color. You could modify this with a different. So you can take average color, just example, okay, and you can take and it's take average of the image, and you can create add to the noise. So this way you can, if you want it, you can kind of simulate with the adjustment, so it will play a little bit better with integration. But I think for in my case, what I try to do, white will work better. Okay, white noise. Next, we're going with the distortions, and distortions, it's allowed to create those lines. If we have it parallel, distortions will have this random frequency applied to the lines. We can control distortions with the slider. We have it noise line intensity, and notice right here I'm also using remapping. So instead value 11 from 0 to 100, we are remapping this from 0 to 20. So I don't want to have it very high distortions, because if we set directly 100 to 100, the lines become very up and down, very noisy. I don't necessarily want this. I want a very gentle and nice kind of noise apply. So it's what we're using for this. And again, we're using the high pass to determine the where is the contrast going from this. So we'll bring this and we blend this with a soft light. So it will apply to us, but it will apply as a soft light. It's using contrast mode to apply these distortions based on highlights and shadows. And closer you have it to 50% gray, the less effect it will be applied. So it will be visible mostly in like lighter and darker areas. Okay, so right here we'll look on this blend, which is blend those images. It's take the shifter and take it what we blend before with a blur, and contrast, and blend them together. Again, we have our normal blending here, and we have also the opacity. So almost everything, every blend, when you notice, it's have the control out, because whatever I blend, I want to allow the artists to have their own ability to say how much of this blend they want to work on this. So far we went through all of this distortion blending. In the end, we have it our shifting our colors, we have it contrast, blooming, we have it line shifting, and also line noise. The next what I want to do is overall apply also on the kind of color overlay. Sometimes you notice in the lines, when we look on the images, you have a red line kind of scan, not total scan lines, but kind of almost a color line applied to the hour. And right here we have it red, green, and blue, the colors, and you can see it's applied to the blend. So we're using the color mode blend on them because I want to apply it. And the top I took a red and I used color mode with opacity 15 on all of them and applied. So it just give it this little bit tint red, green, and blue. Next, we're going to our garden tool where I want to place it, and you can see how we're going. I want placed red on top, green, and blue. And also, this is what overlay with our image gardening. But notice right here, our repeat, it's set to slider color. So it's meaning if I'm going inside and have my repeat increase, you can see it start repeating those colors, how they're applying. So in this case, I can create those TV scan look like you see on CRT before, and we can apply with different intensity. As a default, just set to the 0, so we can leave it this way. And this is almost our one last blending on an effect, which is we have it from our previous with scan lights, and it's blending to our color lines, the green, white, blue, that we applied inside. Okay, after this, we'll go to the simple just saturation, where we control hue, saturations, and lighting for these elements, and we have an output to our control. So let's look on order of the controls. Again, notice right here it's set as automatic. We can always switch to the custom, and we can adjust them as you need it. But most time it's work. Okay, light saturation. So I'm just looking noise. They're all kind of grouped together. So we'll click OK. Let's save for now. And you can see we have our basic filter set with our noise. Again, you can go inside the settings, and right here we can modify This is our top scan, so you can modify those colors, red, green, and blue if you need it. We have our color shift, and you can see right here, you remember those first ones. So we have our color shift. We have also our scan lights intensity. We have our frequency. Okay, right here for the noise, we can remove it. Right now, scan light frequency, maybe because right here we don't have them, but this is our scan light ones. Okay, we also have our saturation. We can desaturate or saturation. 50%, it's about middle. Light and hues, we just leave it as a 50, it's a default. Also, we have our noise opacity. Okay, we have black depth, if you remember, and light bloom. We have line shift opacity, scan opacity. So, and right here we have it about our original image. Of course, because we have some effect from our scan lines. There you go. This is our untouched image, and with all these blending modes that we can modify all these separate effects to them. For example, we can go in just a shift of the color, red, green, and blue, and all this. So as I said, this is one of the fun filter to work with, because almost any time when you modify image, you have your creative work, how you want to do this, but you also want to keep it closer to what reality. Again, this is a filter, come with presets that I already created, kind of play around with them, creating all these different distortions. Okay, and some of them just, for example, just a bloom effect applied, so you can create different type of the decay of fluorescence, decay of lighting, effect on the scan lights. And overall, this is I call TV shifter. Again, it's you can download it on a Filter Forge, play around, modify if you have pro versions, and upload it your own version, share with other people, so see if you can improve it and creating closer to what you want to do for your images.